Evil Geniuses probably has one of the more interesting rosters for the 2022 split and year. And I think it's generally because it's been pretty sacrilege if you start an NA mid laner that doesn't start with the letters POB. So this is a really big I guess risk, but when you actually look at Evil Geniuses and just the entire field of what they're going up against, I think they had great timing with this, in fact, and starting rookie players and whatnot, because I think it's especially big brain if Peter Dunn had actually heard what all the other teams were doing as far as like budget rosters and everything. And it's just like, so, okay, cool. We're just going to start with, this new player, and we're going to have him play along with our ADC. Like this is going to be the perfect opportunity to actually test out our talent and see if we fully fledged have something in the mid lane. So like, props to them. This is actually a really smart idea. But there then could be the drawback that you get a false sense of security, right? It's kind of like you go out throughout your entire, years or whatnot, and then you run into a fucking earthquake and you realize, oh yeah, those things do actually exist, and I could actually die in one of them. Like, like that's what it is when you possibly betting on an NA mid laner. It's like, okay, and on top of that, but you're betting on one in a split to where there isn't that strong of competition, to where if he does okay, it's like, oh well, we probably have something, and then you end up going against a stronger field later on, and you're just like, oh fuck, like this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. So without further ado, the lineup of Evil Geniuses is going to be Impact, Inspired, Jojo Pyun, Danny, and Vulcan. So on paper, like, this lineup really doesn't look that impressive when you just look at it, holistically. But when you look at the actual field of all the other rosters, I think it holds up decently, but the mid lane is obviously something to worry about. But let's start with the top lane of Impact. I thought he played very well last year. He basically balanced out the entire map with being able to do cross map plays, as well as, Jizuke holding the other side of the map. And it seemed like Impact actually knew where to be at all times. And then on top of that, he actually could play more aggressive sometimes too, which was really cool to see, actually. And he got a couple carry games in there as well. So I think he played phenomenally last year. And, just bringing him back in for this year and, not doing away with his contract is a good idea, because I think he's one of actually the most valuable players in all of North America, which is saying a lot, because I mean, you have superstars that are in like the mid lane, right? With like Bjergsen or Jensen. Well, that's ironic, isn't it? And you have like players like Doublet. Well, that's ironic too. But you have a lot of heavy hitters, and so to say that Impact is like one of the best players in North America is saying a lot. And to hold on to him, I think he is like a really good piece to just secure, so that that you have stability at least in the top lane. So I've no problem with him staying with the Evil Geniuses. And on top of that, he is the better sure bet rather than, someone like Jizuke, for instance, who requires you to play around him. So yes, I think Impact works phenomenally. And I think he works even better given Inspired is joining in the jungle. Now, Inspired is coming from Rogue over in the LEC, who got third in LEC in summer, and then they went to Worlds and they bombed out, whatever. But Inspired, what's interesting with him is the fact that in Rogue, Otoamne was the top laner. Now, if you know Oto's style, traditionally he's been like this self-sacrificing top laner. And that's exactly what Impact is generally. He's been the self-sacrificing guy. So I think coming in, Inspired is already going to have like a quasi built-in synergy, because largely Impact and Ottawamne play the same style anyways. So I think that's going to be something that is going to set him up for success, over coming into the LCS. But I will say there's one big thing that I have a problem with Inspired coming over, and that is that this is his first time being away from home, if I'm not mistaken, and he's 19 years old. Like this is like a really fucking big move. Like I couldn't even imagine moving away at 19 years old to a foreign country, and you don't have your secure network behind you, your family network. So I think that is kind of a risk when just looking at any type of player. Really, I think they should probably let them brood in the LEC or wherever the fuck that they come from, because like being homesickness is, I think it hits you harder when you're younger. So and then also like when you're way older too. But I think this is a legitimate concern, and the only thing that kind of balances this out is the fact that he probably does speak English to a very, very high degree, right? Being from Poland. So, he doesn't have that barrier at least, and he can make, solid friends over here in North America with all the other players, because he'll be able to speak English. So that's my only takeaway from this. But I think gambling on Inspired still, just skill wise, is probably a pretty good bet. So yes, I think just skill-wise, he actually matches up for maybe what you would expect when you want to import someone. Although I really haven't seen a ton of his games, to be honest. So, Jojo Pyun, I don't know anything about this guy, right? I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to fucking say, oh, yeah, no, I watch Academy. Like, no, dude, I don't watch Academy. So we're just going to put that out there. Just like, 90% of all the other content creators for League of Legends, they don't watch Academy, but some of them fake it. But anyways, that's not a hit on anyone, really. Anyways, I think this is actually a really good time in order to bring in a rookie talent, right? He's from North America. He was from Evil Geniuses Academy. And, you look at the field of mid laners this year, it's actually pretty fucking weak. You have Palafox, you have a Blaze Olive, you have the Tukui guy. I think I'm saying that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I banged that shit on. And then you have No Jensen. So really your only competition is Bjergsen, which is probably going to smash you. Although maybe you could get some hits in, during the spring split when he's a little rusty. And then you have a Power of Evil, who is still a pretty good mid laner. So, I mean, realistically, if there is a time to try out a North American mid laner, it's now. And like Evil Geniuses have the perfect condition, right, in order to do this. They have everything is set up for them to be able to do this, and I think this is actually one of the smart moves if you believe in this mid laner. Now, once again, I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know his skill at all and whether he deserves to be in LCS or not, but we about to motherfucking find out. So this will be pretty interesting to see. Then you have the bot lane rounding out with Danny and Vulcan. I thought Danny played phenomenally last year. And this is like going back to his famous play to where he gets that pentakill. Like, fuck, that was probably one of the sickest plays I've ever seen in all of League of Legends, like pro play. Like, no kidding. This is up there with like a Faker Zed type of play. Like it was really impressive, just the way that he kited, the way that whole 5 killing spree happened basically. And you can already see that Danny is one of those ADCs which is able to play team fights very, very well. And as long as he keeps that strength, I think he's going to do phenomenally going into 2022. So I have no qualms with EG keeping him. And then Vulcan coming in, I think this is great. Vulcan, if he's able to reestablish himself and say that, he is still a top tier support, especially after having not that great of a stint with Sven. I think this is his time to actually solidify his position within the LCS and say, like, no, I'm here to fucking stay. I'm a really good support. Like I'm not like a Zazel, or, I'm not just here temporarily. So I think this is going to be a big statement year for him, and I still think that he has gas in the tank. So I'm actually not concerned with him. And on top of that, I think he could teach a thing or two to Danny as well. So I think that's what's going to be a good pairing for this. And not only that, but he's going to offer some stability just to the rest of the lineup, right? Because he's a veteran voice. So I think this is the correct choice, and they probably got him on a discount anyways. So it's basically all just a win-win, and they're hoping for the bounce back of Vulcan, which I think is a safe bet. I really do believe in at least Vulcan and maybe what he can bring to 2022. So yeah, I think this is a perfect bet for EG. So overall, with the coaching staff of Peter Dunn and Artemis, I think EG have a way easier time with this roster in terms of trying to hammer down the fundamentals, and more specifically, not playing a volatile playstyle of like what they did, before in spring and, in summer specifically, of playing like this 1-3-1 style split push, because of that's what Jizuke had to warrant, right? You had to play around him or else he'll just feed his ass off. So I think with this year, it's going to be a lot easier for the coaching staffs specifically in order to just hammer in all of the details. But at the same time, it's going to be very difficult because they have to break in this rookie player. And then also, too, they have Inspired coming over from Europe. So there's going to be a whole lot of different set of problems that they're going to have, which are completely not the same as what had happened for Evil Geniuses in 2021. So I think this is a good bet. I don't think that they're necessarily going to, stomp the entire league, especially considering that they have an NA mid laner and a rookie, no less, in the mid lane. So yeah, I don't think that this team is necessarily going to be in, the bottom 5 or, bottom 6 or whatever. They certainly have an easy chance to actually make playoffs, and that's what I expect from this roster. But other than that, like, I don't think you expect much more than that from them, and especially considering that they're giving, their academy player essentially a spot. And this is essentially taking advantage that everyone else is building up their rosters or doing a budget year. And so this way, EG can actually build up their players and therefore take advantage of their infrastructure. So I think this is a brilliant plan. I think EG actually accomplished probably the goals that they wanted to. So yeah, big ups to EG. Very smart from them.